The first time that I met Jesse, I was still in 11th grade. He walked in and he sat by me.
Was goofing around, having fun. We ended up talking and hitting it off.
I mean, I couldn't admit it, but from that moment on, I knew that he was the one.
We were just starting out and struggling and trying to figure things out. Wanted to have a farm, wanted our kids to grow up to have a good work ethic. It was a dream come true when we moved to the farm in 2007. At the farm, we have livestock, beef cattle, a couple horses, chickens.
The very first time I laid my eyes on Amber Rose, I was exhausted. I had just had 33 hours of labor. All the other children were 8 or less. Jesse, on the other hand, took her and had this moment. And so the thing that I remember is him laying his eyes on Amber.
Just looked at her and said, she's beautiful.
He just lit up and he said, her smile is so beautiful.
She was just special right from the start, I guess. Well, Amber growing up she was real high-spirited. She was my little helper, whether I wanted her to be or not. She was always trying to help in some way. The accident happened on July 6, 2013.
We're all lining up for confession, and Amber was just out of first grade, so she hadn't had her classes for First Communion or anything. It was really odd because she tugged on my arm and she's like, Mom, I need to go confess my sins. And she was like almost heartbroken she couldn't do it. We got home and got ready for bed, and she said, Mom, I just want to run outside and give Dad a kiss.
As I was chasing the calves, I looked up and we had some Van Duel tractor tires leaning up on the barn. The tractor tires about 700 pounds. I was trying to say, don't play with them.
I just heard this blood-curdling cry, and my mind's racing like, what's going on?
So I ran over and picked the tire off, and in horror, I thought she was going to die right there. I didn't think there was anything I could do for her. Her face was cut so deep, and I thought it was all over with.
My husband was on his knees holding my daughter with her face in half. I didn't know what I was looking at. And then I realized I could hear breath, and I was like, well, okay, there's life.
She scooped her out of my arms and tried calling 911 and handed me the phone, but I couldn't talk. Jen talked on the phone and drove to meet the ambulance.
My husband's role in the back was to hold her face and her hands from going into her face. I remember him saying, Our Fathers and Hail Marys, like, oh, that's all we could do.
When I got to the hospital, I think all the doctors were all pretty shocked and didn't know for sure what to do.
This nurse comes up behind me and she goes, you need to sign this paper for blood. They started giving it to her, but they said it was coming out as fast as they were putting it in. They had her on life support. We really needed a Catholic priest at this moment. So then I'm realizing I'm telling God that she's his and I have to let her go.
I did a lot of praying and I didn't think she'd make it.
If God is good, true, and beautiful, how is this? And I just couldn't see past the tragedy and the suffering.
My name is Amber Rose Marie Kordiak. On July 6th, 2013, when I was 7 years old, I died. But through the grace and wisdom of God, I was saved. I remember looking back up and seeing Jesus there, or feeling immense peace and happiness. I met saints, and then he took my hand and he said, need not be afraid. And then I remember looking up and seeing an unfamiliar space and being scared. One of the nurses said it's okay.
That's when she was just animated. She was full of love, full of life, so happy to be with her family.
After I realized what happened and was calm, I guess was just kind of how my life would be after all this. It's been a long and hard recovery. I've had 34 surgeries over 10 years and more to come. I had a feeding tube and my jaw was wired shut. I had a trach as well. They had to train me how to eat and drink. They also had to train me how to talk and walk.
Coming home, after being down there so long and not being able to work every day, reality of how we were gonna pay for everything, the bills and stuff that were piling up, and was scary.
When we found out they had a problem issue, we learned out how bad it was and all the expenses were going. The Knights stepped up and did some benefits for them. When people need help, we're here to give it to them. Showing up for helping others out is part of our charter, you know.
Through our parish, people were sending us help, and the Knights of Columbus had a fundraiser.
It was a godsend. I mean, that literally kept our bills paid so we didn't lose our home. And then we had community members that came and helped with the farm.
The brotherhood that the Knights brings, you know that they're going to be there to help all people that are in need.
The support made me feel comforted and safe with literally nothing in my control. There's no words for it.
Most of the parish got a lot closer after the accident. I don't think that she could have recovered without God's help, and that kind of inspires the rest of us a little bit.
The one thing I say to the Knights is definitely that you're so loved by me and my family, and you've helped so many people.